This is quite the three-way comparison we have for you today. Samson Dauda versus Chris Bumstead versus Martin Fitzwater. But wait, this is all three gentlemen at the Prague Pro 2025 for Samson and Martin, and 2024 for Chris Bumstead. And of course, this is a fan request, in case anybody was wondering. But Max Muscle, why would you do such a comparison? Yeah, it's a fan voted on one. And I do this little game where if this video gets 300 likes on it, I do all of the other comparison requests that are over 10%, which they are. So get this video up to 300 likes, folks. But on with this one. Now, what is interesting about this matchup is that Samson and Martin, these guys just placed first and second, respectively, at the Prague Pro, with Martin getting the victory over Samson, and just 1 year prior, just a year ago, it was Martin Fitzwater again getting the Duke over Chris Bumstead. Lot of people, including one Giles Tiger Thomas, he disagreed with that. In fact, I think he said Martin was a little watery. And you know what? He was. He wasn't 100%. Giles was right. But having said that, folks, was able to use those pictures for sizing purposes. Now, it's going to be a situation here where Chris Bumstead, he's going to be outsized. We noticed that versus Martin Fitzwater last year. And the thickness, things of that nature. Conditioning, Bumstead's doing just fine. But when you're next to a guy like Samson Dauda, who has an equal big structure with more mounds of muscle, it is going to be an uphill battle for Bumstead. But one saving grace, I think, in this one, it's not his best shot. The front double biceps pose is not Chris Bumstead's best pose whatsoever. And when it comes to Martin, wow, has he improved since last year. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people had Bum beating Martin. Now, in terms of Samson Dauda, I don't know. You could say he's beating Bumstead. Is he beating Martin Fitzwater? He's bigger. I like Martin's overall shape. Obviously, there's no need to whip that dead horse. We know who won between Samson and Martin. There was not a whole lot of debate, but I like to look at it anyway. You know me, obsessed with bodybuilding, for goodness sakes. Here is the front lat spread. And to do this for a living, you do have to be obsessed over it. Now, the funny thing is, I am constantly telling all of my friends and family members just how terrific bodybuilding is. But none of them like it. Is it just me? Or are you guys like that too? I'm sure for the most part, you have a couple of friends that enjoy bodybuilding. And I do, one or two. Very rarely talk to them anymore. But having said that, the front lat spread, a terrific, just like bodybuilding, it's terrific, I'm telling you. A terrific pose for Chris Bumstead. No, he's not a great big giant blanket like the Samson Dauda. He is huge. But it is not always about size. Like Sean Ray, he always preaches that. Size doesn't matter. It's all in the detail. And even in the Martin Fitzwater versus Samson matchup, you can see Martin was in better shape. Absolutely. His better overall shape. And I'm surprised, to be honest with you, that Samson is losing the front lat spread to a guy like Martin, because generally that is not the case. Now, Bum, he's smaller. You can definitely tell he's not as big as these open class bodybuilders. And Samson, he's a darn near 300 pounds here. So it's a little bit different than against a Hattie Shupin or another guy. I mean, Samson, he's a horse. He's a f***ing buffalo, for goodness sakes. But again, money is in the detail, and Chris Bumstead, he could be winning the front lat spread. Martin looks good too. Now, turn to the side. Have you guys ever noticed Bumstead rhymes with lat spread? Kind of. Well, either way, again, he looks a little bit petite against a guy like Samson Dauda in the upper body. His wheels are doing good, are Chris Bumstead's. Not a bad set of calves from the side, and his display is nice too. You see he's holding his far leg straight, and what that does, it creates more height. And I put Martin Fitzwater beside Chris Bumstead, and then I put Samson Dauda beside Martin, things of that nature, and I came to the conclusion that Chris Bumstead stands taller than Samson in the side chest. But I think we can figure that out anyway. Look, his far leg is straight, folks. But still, people will get upset. Samson, he's huge. I'd almost give him this side chest pose, but Martin Fitzwater, he is that much more detailed. He has the eye of the tiger. No. Here is the side tricep pose, and Samson, I am favoring him in both side shots. Of course, Martin, that little stickler, he has that condition, right? A little bit better than Samson's. So I think if Samson upped his game, or if he does next time these guys meet, it will be a foregone conclusion. But Martin, man oh man, he has been getting peeled as of late. But then you get Bumstead, the subject of this video. He's kind of the oddball here. Hard to size this side tricep too. Looks good, big man's chest. He just doesn't know how to open up the physique, I think. There's a hard time with this one. Kinda like Martin Fitzwater. They are very similar in this shot, with Samson Dauda bringing something a little bit different, which I almost prefer. So that's that. That's the front and the side. Now, here's the back. And dare I say, the angle of the shot's a little bit different for Bumstead, but the other pictures sucked. They didn't show his detail. You can see he is very conditioned here. Martin Fitzwater, he is the most shredded to the diced, I would say. Look at the lower half. Incredible. Thin skin. When Martin nails it, I'm telling you right now, you can see right through that skin. Bum, not quite as tight in that aspect. We're going off pictures, of course. So it is an educated decision, or just a non-educated decision in my part. But either way, the back of Bumstead is impressive. It is impressing me. He's not the biggest. You can see his back would fit right inside of Samson's. But still, look at the proportions, look at the detail, separation. Kind of preferring what Bumstead brings to the table. Nice lowly inserted calves. I think Bumstead winning on that aspect. Martin, maybe not the best. Surprisingly, I thought he had decent calves. Well, they're decent. Hey, I don't want to get shoved by Martin. But I would be so excited just to meet the guy that I guess I would take the shove. It wouldn't bother me. Here is the rear double biceps. And plus, I think that would up my viewership. You know, there's another angle of Martin going at Giles. There's a whole other angle of that. You'd see the reaction from everybody. But anyway, sure Giles doesn't want me talking about that. Look at the traps on Martin. Look at them. They're twice as thick, twice as hardy as Bumstead's, but even bigger than Samson Dauda's. Samson's back was not 100% here at the Prague Pro, I can tell you that. Now, in terms of the rear double, the petiteness, the small nature of Bumstead's back, I think it's catching up to him. The rear lat spread was fine, I guess. But in this instance, anyway, there's other years, other versions of him. Where his back double by, it's decent, more than decent. But we're dealing with Samson Dauda and Martin Fitzwater, so it's going to be tough for Chris Bumstead to get a first or even a second prize in this. Here is the abs and thigh. And hey, if I have Samson beating Martin Fitzwater, I'll tell you. Of course, I remember after the prejudging at the Prague, I did make a video, and I did actually suggest that I had Martin winning, but then I turned around and said I thought the judges were going to give it to Samson anyway. But I do prefer Martin. His abs are that much more etched, cut into the whole system. That's right, system. You come up with words if you're on the fly. But yeah, he looks a little more cut than your Samson Dauda. And then we got a funny thing here with Chris Bumstead. He doesn't really have etched out abs. Kind of just like a washboard. Know what I mean? Sounds like Ernest P. Worrell used to say that. Know what I mean, Vern? You guys don't remember him? He was funny. But either way, folks, it is absolutely different types of physiques here. This is similar to what the judges would have to face if they brought somebody from the past as soon as they invent the time machine. It's a different physique altogether. Is it better? It's leaner. It's kind of more impressive. And then we get to the most muscular. A lovely shape for Chris Bumstead. Yes, lovely. I've been saying some pretty funny words. Terrific. I've been trying out terrific. Lovely. I got them written down on my little pad of paper. My editor wrote a couple of... I'm not going to say that. Boner. That's awful. That's awful. So, this is an interesting case. We have that beautiful, lovely shape of Chris Bumstead. Looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger from the past, brought into the future. Look at the chest. Doesn't have the arms, the bicep size, though. Samson Dauda, he's got some big guns. Martin, not really a mass monster, so to speak. So if there was any top-flight competition that Bumstead would get an edge over, it would be Martin. But at the end of the day, they choose Martin in this matchup. And I will say, for sure, Martin Fitzwater, he's way better here. Absolutely, he is 12.5, which would be like 18 times better at this year's Prague Pro than last year's. Now, Samson, I don't know, man. This most muscular, usually a takeaway for him. But I believe that old Bum, he's a Canadian bum too, you know. Looks like Ernie or Bert with that foolish haircut that he got. He sewed on his hair. That's right. Kudos to you, Martin, for not getting that done. Just let her go like a man. Not like Bert or Ernie. It's exactly what Bumstead looks like. Telling you right now. I'm just joking. I'm sorry, Bumstead. I love you. You're the best. He has more detail than our UK friend in Samson Dauda. And as I actually tally up these scores, I have Martin winning either way. But there is a couple of poses where you could tweak. If you do give this most muscular pose, to Chris Bumstead over Samson Dauda, then he beats him. But if you give this one to Samson over Bumstead, then it's that close. A couple other shots too that could have went either way between those two dudes. So yeah, I'm gonna say Samson in second. And Chris Bumstead takes it on the chin yet again. If he had won that Prague Pro, it would have gave us fans the go-ahead, I think, to say, yes, size doesn't matter as much as it does, apparently, because obviously Martin, he was just as detailed, or Bumstead just as detailed, just wasn't as thick as Martin last year. But this Martin, a little more strided, a little more decisive of a victory, I think. My opinion? I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. It's bodybuilding, people. At the end of the day, it is your opinion, because really, nobody can tell you what physique you prefer. Bumstead, he's got a fantastic physique. So does Martin. So does Samson Dauda. 3 great bodybuilders, 3 great nations. Have a great one, folks.